All right, let's now take you back to Polokwane in Limpopo, where the ANC will be holding or hosting its 110th anniversary celebrations. And we're now joined by our reporter, Natasha Piri, who is inside the Peter Mokaba Stadium. Now, Natasha, just give us a scene-setter of what's happening there and what you see.
Well, thank you, Simpiwe, yet again. I mean, just coming into the stadium, security is really tight. I mean, we spent around 30 minutes, just being processed by security personnel before coming into the old Peter Mokaba Stadium. I am seated where branches or branch members of the ANC will be seated, Simpiwe. And of course, the ANC then, when briefing the media, members of the media on Thursday had said that strict COVID-19 protocols will be followed and will be adhered to here at the old Peter Mokaba Stadium, saying that only 2,000 people will be allowed inside the stadium. The rest will have to go to public viewing sites in and around Polokwane. And as you can see, the seats here, Simpiwe, I mean, they've made sure that they're actually, keeping to those COVID-19 safety regulations, as one seat is placed in between the other person. And of course, like you've seen here, some of these seats are actually marked. And like I indicated earlier on, this is where these 2,000 members, some of these 2,000 members will be seated. Of course, up there is the VIP box where some leaders or some provincial leaders of the ANC in the 9 provinces will be seated. And of course, the marquee behind my colleague Kwazimanzi is where some ANC, NEC members will be seated. Of course, the stage is being set up for the event. It doesn't seem as if they're ready yet, because proceedings will start at 11 a.m. We're being told that people have started, coming in, those REC members, and some members have started actually trickling in the stadium, getting ready to hear what President Cyril Ramaphosa has to say to them. As you know, that we're also just asking the ANC what the theme for this year will be. The president will actually unveil that. As you know, that last year the proceedings were actually virtual from Luthuli House, and the theme for last year's January 8th statement was the year of Charlotte Maxeke. Just taking you through some of the talking points of last year's January 8th statement. The president there, talking about strengthening of the ANC's Integrity Commission, talking about ways to defeat the coronavirus, because as you know, that last year was the first time in the history of the country where a January 8th statement was actually delivered virtually because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The previous year, we were in Kimberley, where it was, a hive of festivities. But of course, things have changed due to the coronavirus pandemic, Simpiwe. So these are just some of the things, that is actually anticipated to happen tonight. Today, I beg your pardon. As you know, that this year's January 8th statement comes at a very challenging time for, the ANC. I mean, last year, they did not so well at the polls. Their performance actually dropping to 46%, Simpiwe. It also comes at a backdrop of the July unrest that we saw last year, the attack on the Constitutional Court that we saw, and the fire in Parliament. So these are just some of the things that the ANC will probably be reflecting on, especially also on the release of the State Capture Commission, of which some ANC bigwigs are actually fingered in. But Simpiwe, I'm also joined by my colleague Samgele Masega. I can see he's on the pitch. I see he's with the colleague Upule Mabe. Samgele, what's happening on your side?
At this point in time, the ANC is getting ready to host their January 8 here at the old Peter Mokaba Stadium. As you are aware, the ANC members and supporters will be situated. 2,000 of them will be here at the stadium, but there seems to be a strict security presence here as well at the old Peter Mokaba Stadium. Just up behind me is where the podium where the ANC leadership, the National Executive Committee, and what is formerly dubbed the top 6, well, now is 5 people. They will be on the podium. We're not sure if the Deputy Secretary General Jesse Yasmin Duarte will be here, but she was sick for a while and was in hospital. On the other end is where the National Executive Committee members of the ANC will be seated for this January 8 statement, which is taking place for the first time in a stadium, as last year they addressed it at Luthuli House with the president of the ANC speaking from there. That event was organized by the DIP of the ANC, which is their internal communications unit. But I'm going to bring in Mr. Peter Mokaba first before we speak to the professor on the preparations for this event. Mr. Mokaba, your January 8 statement is kicking off today. There have been a myriad of issues surrounding the safety of your president, whether it's COVID-19 regulations in Limpopo. And yesterday, we also saw that his security detail has been increased and intensified. We also saw the blackout with the electricity going off at the ranch yesterday where your gala dinner is at. Is there a sinister motive going on that we're not being alerted about on the safety of your president?
Samkelo, I don't think that we should jump to talk to sinister motives and all of that. I mean, the president has got a capable team that does all the necessary work around security assessment and all of that. In Limpopo, we've spoken to you and will repeat again for the benefit of your viewers. It was really an issue of oversubscription. The event had the potential of becoming a super spreader. At the request of the Women's League, the event was then called off. Yesterday, our Treasurer General, Comrade Paul Mashatile, had addressed yourselves in the media about that technical glitch or that electricity glitch that we had at the venue. We have asked the province to request a full report because they are the ones who are responsible for organizing the venue, so that they could get all the real facts about what really happened. But from what we know now is that it was a simple electricity trip because the electricity was later restored and the gala dinner continued. I mean, the regional chairperson of Peter Mokaba, Comrade John Mpe, was able to still deliver a vote of thanks. Guests were still able to eat their dinner as was expected.
Mr. Mokaba, what can we anticipate from this January 8 statement from your president? He spoke last night and said the renewal of the ANC must be fast-tracked. He said, addressing on during earlier on in the week, saying that the rebuilding and the reconstruction of the ANC had taken a backseat. You go to his letter to ANC members last year saying that the ANC stands as accused number one when it comes to the issues of corruption. What can we anticipate in this address by him today?
Well, Samke, let's not take the shine from the president. The president is going to deliver this statement on behalf of the National Executive Committee. We have met in a special session and have dealt with all the issues that need to really be addressed in the statement. So it's a wait and see for yourselves in the media, but I can tell you that the issue of renewal is one that we are not going to shy away from.
When you look at the event that was cancelled in Musina, which was going to be addressed by your suspended Secretary General, organized by a branch in the Vembe region, what transpired when a branch invites someone who stepped aside and was suspended by the party to come and address that particular branch and give a few gifts to the community in that ward?
Well, Samgelo, we cannot be speaking about a matter where the regional secretary of Vembe, Comrade Rudzani Ludere, has already acted. He has already written to that branch, advising them that their actions are in contravention with conditionalities that are imposed on the step-aside rule. So that matter has been dealt with, so we can't be going there. The Regional Executive Committee of Vembe has acted, and we must commend them for that, because the manner in which they've acted showed that they are actually committed and loyal to the resolutions of the African National Congress.
How many people are anticipating here at the stadium? I see they're starting to trickle in at this old Peter Mokaba Stadium. What are the rules, the regulations for their attendance?
Well, there was a team here that has been working on putting up this event. It included our head of organizing, Comrade Nomvola Mukonyane, our general manager, Comrade Phoebe Potgieter, the provincial secretary, a number of PEC members, Comrade Thabo Mukoni, Comrade Namani Dixon Masemola, Comrade Poli, Comrade Joshua, Comrade Donald Selamolele, who's the spokesperson. And, but of course, being backed up by members of the PEC, you saw Comrade Poppy was responsible to put up that fundraiser that you saw yesterday. The provincial chairperson was providing the necessary political support, together with the deputy chair and the deputy secretary in the province, Comrade Biskop and Comrade Florence. So the NEC was actually working, and the communications team, of course, at head office. The NEC was effectively working with the province to make sure that we could put up this. Our own staff members at Lituli House, our security detail, all of that. So they've ensured that, one, the right people are going to be accredited and that the right people are going to be allowed inside, that we meet the 2,000 number. That's why you see the sort of security you see around here, because we do not want to have lapses in the system. We have drawn certain lessons out of the Leboa Kgomo event. Out of that, we've got to make sure that we do it better. You saw what we did yesterday with the ANC Youth League event. After learning those lessons, when we went to the ANC Youth League event, what happened? The president was then able to then address young lions outside on top of a van. Because we've now learned, we now realize that, okay, the only way to do it better is to do it in this way.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pulemabe. I'm going to bring in now the professor. Prof, just in essence, the ANC speaks of renewal of the African National Congress. You've seen the events that have taken place over the past few days. The lights that went off at the ranch for the ANC's fundraising gala dinner. The ANC president being whisked off from addressing the ANC Women's League. Is there more to this story than they are actually revealing?
Sabgela, good morning to your viewers as well. Look, I think we could be downplaying certain behind the scenes, unfortunate, yet orchestrated disruptions that may have been avoided through protocol, obviously. Starting with the Women's League, the issue that here lies the undermining of certain COVID-19 protocols. One cannot shy away from thinking that perhaps there was an attempt to sort of like use that to cover some kind of a possibly orchestrated disruption. We might be accused of playing to conspiracy theory. Facts will have to be cost and sift here. We might not get there as well, but I think what is important is that things are not as settled as perhaps from a distance ANC members would like us to believe.
When you look at the events that have transpired as well over the past few days, you've had the likes of Tala, who is the regional secretary of Skukune. You've had John Mpe, the regional chairperson of Peter Mokaba region. You've had the ANC Youth League. You've had Stan Matabata, the chairperson of the province and premier, and his deputy, Florence Radzelani, saying that they're endorsing the incumbent president of the ANC for a second term. Is this a signal that the political machinations going towards the 55th National Conference are in full swing and are playing themselves out in this January 8 statement that we are seeing?
Indeed, Samkelo, you will recall that towards the end of last year, the contestation for the deputy president as well took center stage, where people like Mama Bulo raised their hands to say they are available to contest for that position as well. So it's open sesame for contestation in the ANC, and it's not surprising. It's a kind of an organizational culture that has been there that plays itself out to what one can refer to as personality politics, where positions are more important than the integrity of the organization. And I suspect this is one particular weakness that going forward, as part of the renewal package, the president, together with the NEC, must begin to address. If, of course, this party will have to survive the next 20 to 50 years, surely allegiance to party, not allegiance to positions, must be the way in which politics within the ANC is managed.
When you look at the ANC conferences successfully, they've been largely about the contestation of leadership. Unless, for instance, if you look at Ben Terrock, the late struggle stalwart and former member of parliament of the ANC, he says that you can't have over 4,000 people in one venue discussing policy and no credible and intellectual documents will come out of that. How does the ANC move away from having a culture that is fraught, a conference which is fraught with factions, with high tensions and contestation for positions, and largely look at building a capable state that they've been promising to build? I mean, they've always gone to China to draw lessons. They've gone to countries like Canada to draw lessons on governance. How come they are getting it wrong? When you look at the poor state of service delivery and crumbling municipalities that are led by this party?
It's like you were here yesterday. It is the very same party that has asked me to come and contribute to their political school debates. And all the issues that you've raised, I raised them there to say, is the ANC in a position to reimagine itself as a base from which intellectualism can be harvested? In essence, it is one way of saying, is there a leadership vacuum intellectually that can be somewhat harnessed, that can be given space to grow? And unfortunately, as things stand, such efforts are not put in place. The issue of the school itself needs to be looked at with critical eye to say, does it add value in terms of producing future leaders that the ANC would like to have? You make reference to the late ANC stalwart Benturo, who has always been insisting that as an ANC cadre, it's important to actually be given a space to allow for independent thinking to be part of the way in which cadreship in the ANC is handled. That we haven't seen. And unfortunately, a culture of factionalism, a culture of sort of like supporting people, some with ill intentions, has always occupied that political space. And it's up to that package of renewal to address some of these organizational anomalies.
Thank you very much, Prof. Indeed, if you go back to the diagnostic report of then Secretary General of the ANC at the 2017 Nasrec conference, you go to the Mahikeng conference of the ANC in 1997, where former president and late president of the ANC, Tata Nelson Mandela, spoke about the sins of incumbency and an emergence of crass materialism in the ANC, which was subsequently repeated over the years by ANC then President Thabo Mbeki at the 2007 Polokwane conference of the ANC here, where he was trumped by his then Deputy President Jacob Zuma. You go to Cyril Ramaphosa, you go to all former leaders of the ANC, even to former President Zuma raised the issues of the sins of incumbency, the intellectual and ideological bankruptcy of ANC members today. Thank you very much, Prof. We will now move to our colleague Bimani Baloyi, who is outside the old Peter Mokaba Stadium tracking developments in that area as ANC members burst out into song here inside the stadium. Thank you. Sure.
Thank you so much, Samkele. Indeed, we are outside the north wing of the new Peter Mokaba Stadium, where members of the MKMVA from the Johannesburg branch are picketing outside the stadium. This group of individuals say they feel excluded from ANC January 8th statement that it will take place at the stadium today. And they're saying this is the very first time this has happened ever since the ANC has been celebrating its birthday on the 8th 28th of January. But you know what? To speak more about this, we are joined by the Secretary of the MKMVA in Johannesburg, Mr. Tandutolo Yodo. Mr. Yodo, just tell us, you traveled overnight by that bus behind us and you are here. What's the reason?
No, the reason is that, Memo, let me first say we are disappointed at the ANC that when it's celebrating its 110 years, that the ANC is beginning to not talk to its members, in particular members of former Liberation Army of Mkhonto Wesizwe who are here. We marched, we first marched on 2020 on October, having 3 demands. And we could not get response. We marched last year in December, on the 3rd of December, to demand 3 things from the ANC. And we said that the ANC must respond us within 14 days in writing. And we're demanding 3 things. One of them is that we want an inclusive conference, because of the ANC has been saying that they are going to have an inclusive conference of all former members of MK, so that inclusive conference is a conference that is going to give us a say in the ANC. But we've been promised in the NEC, with members of the NEC, we were called, there was an NEC meeting that was called. Comrade David Mahlobo and Comrade Snook Zigelala were representative of the ANC NEC, who they told us that the Commander-in-Chief, which is President Ramaphosa, he says that we must accept the disbandment as MK, and then there was going to be an inclusive conference before the 60th anniversary of Mkhonto Wesizwe, which is 16 December 2021. So we saw when we marched of Senatuti, we see that the date of the conference is not coming. But then what's happening to the date of the conference? We expected the ANC to respond on us, it didn't respond. The second thing is that if you disband MKMVA is having assets that are held at Lotto and everywhere. But then we're saying that what happens to those assets? Because if you are disbanding a structure, disbanding members, and then and we're told in one meeting in Poison Hotel by the former president Kibima Phatso, said that most of these assets are maturing. It was in 2021. We're saying what is going to happen to these assets, because they were supposed to have dissolved at a conference and then we decide what do we do with them. The third thing is that we're saying that the ANC, as it says that it wants to implement all conference resolutions, as that it says that on its 2017 national conference in Nasrec that there should be an inclusive conference of military veterans. But it also says that on 2019-2020 there's going to be a stand-alone ministry that deals with only military veterans. We're saying that we've been demanding that because we're saying that at the heart of that the welfare and everything that had to do with military veterans, if you can have that stand-alone, we're saying that the problems, the suffering, people who don't have houses and everything is going to come to an end.
But Mr. Doyo, you are picketing outside the barricaded area where this celebration is happening. What are you hoping to achieve? And do you think anyone is listening? You're outside. You couldn't be allowed even into the barricaded area.
No, we arrived here at 3 o'clock in the morning. From 3 o'clock in the morning at 5, there were 20 cars of police who were sent to us that we must move away because we're in the front of the stadium. They said that categorically there was a general who came to us and said he received orders from the above, from the minister himself, that they must deal with us in the past. So we must not be seen by public and anybody that were protesting as former members of liberation movement, because they asked us what is it. We said that we're demanding 3 things. This is the memorandum that was signed by David Mahlobo, and he said that he's going to send it to the NEC. So we're chased from that side and we're put here because of our disciplined members. We love the ANC more than any other thing, more than our children and our wives, and we sacrifice to be here. But we're saying that we're still waiting for the policemen who said that they're going to come to us and remove us. But we're saying that if that thing it happened at 9:30, we are still here. We're going to march ourselves into the main event, because that is where we don't want to do anything. We just want to show them that these are the 3 demands that we want, and we'll say that to the ANC it must take us seriously as its former liberation soldiers.
You are alleging that you were physically removed and that you were threatened with violence. Physically, are you hoping for somebody to come and listen to you? What do you hope to take back after this event?
No, we are saying we are tired of marching. The 3rd of December, March, it was the last March. So we're bringing here, we brought ourselves to the ANC of saying, here we are. We have not yet responded into the three simple things that we asked from you. We have not responded to them. So we're still here in January 8. We have sacrificed everything. We have left important things that we're supposed to be doing at home in Johannesburg. But we're here so that we say to the ANC and everybody that cares to listen, say that the same ANC, because of, you know, the way that we love the ANC, we're at pain that the ANC lost municipality. And we're saying to the ANC to self-correct itself, it must then begin to go back to basic. So we're saying to the ANC, go back to basic, listen to the people. If the ANC cannot take care of ourselves as people who liberated everybody, who sacrificed our lives, and then and think that the ANC is going to do the same thing to ordinary people, that is what surprises us. So after here, we're going to go back there. If they again shove us, push us, we're going to go back to the bus and go back home. But let me say today that the true colors of black, green, gold will be flying high in the sky. We'll carry on the flag of Oliver Tambo, but let the ANC not be disappointed, and let them say that we're not disciplined enough, because we've been disciplined for 27 years. We've been listening, given promises, being prisoners of hope, of saying things are going to be better this year, things are going to... There's nothing that is better. Now schools are going to be opening next week. Most of the members that are here, they don't know what's going to happen to their children. Some of them, they don't even know, because of in December, they don't know what is it that they had Black Christmas, because of MKMV is disbanded. We can't go to SASA, because of we would go to SASA and write letters for members to get food parcel. But we can't do that because of what disbanded an organization. So we're saying to the ANC, we know the ANC that we bring it from exile, which was a caring movement, which knew that the basic things of the people. But so now today the ANC is the ANC that we don't know. So we are here to say to the ANC and the people, because of we were told. You know, it was painful when we were told there that we are not accredited. And this bus, particularly they said this bus must not even be near the stadium. There are people that are accredited to enter into the stadium. And we asked them that when we joined the ANC with our blood, did we receive accreditation? Because if we joined it voluntarily, because if we believed in the ANC and we believed that it must liberate the people of South Africa. But today, when we was coming to the ANC peacefully to say, listen to us, we are told that say that we must go into a certain corner where nobody must see us. So we're disappointed, but we're saying that we are going to continue with the struggle. But it might not be the way we are doing it today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Doyo. That is the emotional plea of the Secretary of the Umkhonto we Sizwe Military Veterans Association in the region of Johannesburg, pleading that they be allowed into this 110th birthday celebration of the ANC, pleading that there are demands that they say they've marched several times to ensure that they are heard by the leadership, are heard today and are attended to. But for now, I'll hand back to you in studio.
All right, Pimani, thank you so much for joining us. That was our reporter, Pimani Baloyi. She's just been in conversation with the Secretary General of the Umkhonto we Sizwe Military Veterans Association, Johannesburg region, who expressed his disgruntlement at being incredibly excluded at the ANC celebration. And earlier on, we were in conversation, of course, with Samgel Masego, who was in conversation again with ANC spokesperson Pule Mabe, who downplayed the whole issue of the power cuts last night, which interrupted President Cyril Ramaphosa's address. And we're also joined by Natasha Peter. We'll all be crossing back to our reporters in just a moment. But for now, let's